Mr. Myers.
Babs, if Mr. Myers is still here in 15 minutes, please bring me a bicarbonate of soda.
You know, I always love paying you people a visit. I mean, the atmosphere is always so warm and cordial.
Oh, yeah? Well, you know, we really love having you because after you leave, we clean the place so thoroughly that our allergies are better for weeks.
Yeah, well, anyway, Harold, I guess it's no secret really why I'm here, huh?
You need somebody to defend you on a morals charge? Well, I'm sorry, Dan, I can't take you on right now. I'm all full up.
It's good. No, you know I have a legal right to see the sworn statements of all the witnesses for our upcoming case. Now, of course, I'm only really interested in that one from the young lady who's going to prove Vaughn's virility. You know, I'll wade through the other one some other time. Hey, now, what's the matter there, Harold? You look a little pale all of a sudden. Is it possible that that particular statement doesn't exist?
Well, Mr. Redlin, where shall we begin?
I'm sorry?
It's a simple question, and questions are your specialty. Aren't they, Mr. Redlin?
There must be some kind of mistake.
You insult my intelligence by protesting your innocence. Now, you wouldn't want to make me angry, would you, Mr. Redlin?
There's no such thing as anger in Domi, remember? Anger is a diffusion of the positive. Without the positive, we're lost.
Ooh, you're clever. You're overwhelmed by your cleverness, aren't you? But if the truth were known...
Truth is only truth as long as I perceive it as such. Isn't that right?
If the truth were known, you'd see that your cleverness has blinded you.
Let's start from the beginning, Vanessa. Shall we? And let's determine who's really clever and who's really blind.
Anybody home?
Oh, how did the big meeting go?
Well, let me put it this way. I took 2 aspirin right after I left.
Oh, sit down and tell me all about it.
Well, there were more than a couple of surprises at the meeting.
You'll be ready in a minute. Unless you wanted ice and that I can give you now.
Hi, Lucy. No, I think I'll wait for it to be hot.
Listen, Stacy, if you do hear anything about him, tell him I'm waiting for him at his mom's.
Lee Carruthers was there.
Lee Carruthers?
Oh, I'm surprised that man had the nerve to come back into this city.
That's not a man-owned. He's a full-fledged skunk. And everybody knows a skunk ain't got a lick of sense. That's how come the good Lord gave him that awful smell. Keep people away from their foolishness.
Well, listen, if I do go with Preston Carpenter's plan, I think I'll be able to stay out of the way of Lee Carruthers. But what concerns me more, though, are the people of Chesterfield. I mean, I believe that this project would be really good for them. But the question is, will they believe it? And this may be selfish, but if I do come out for the project and they don't like it, I may be considered the same kind of person as Lee Carruthers.
Well, Harold, come on. I mean, does the statement exist? Or is Vaughn's witness imaginary, huh? Oh, Harold, now I can't imagine why you're so quiet all of a sudden here.
Oh, Dan, look, you're already going to embarrass me by calling Dave Phillips to the stand as your witness. Isn't that enough for you?
Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen. I do believe the defense is running scared. Yeah, that really was a brilliant move on my part, if I do say so. Dave Phillips. I mean, the name is synonymous with honesty in the city, huh?
Shall we talk about what your name is synonymous with?
Well, listen here. When I get him on the stand, he is going to devastate your client. He's going to devastate your whole case. I mean, Vaughn Sumner's own doctor doesn't even believe him. This is the kind of witness and the kind of situation that comes along maybe once in a lifetime. You know, it's almost embarrassing to get paid for doing this.
Oh, I imagine you will find some way to take your client's money.
Uh-huh. Well, I would think that you would be just a touch embarrassed as well to take Sumner's money, although for different reasons.
I have had prouder moments in my professional life.
You know, this is a whole new Harold Webster I'm seeing here. If failure suits you, man. You haven't been getting enough of it lately, too.
Well, we must be honest and say that you have had the corner on that market up until now.
Well, things do change, and I am finally getting what I deserve.
Oh, all these straight lines, God, give me strength.
You said you wanted to get this as soon as it came in.
Yeah, you
and
bet. Thank you,
I didn't think
Bev.
you'd mind the interruption.
Yeah, okay, enough's enough, Harold. I do need those statements.
Well, Dan, I don't really have them for you. Babs didn't type them up yet.
Wait a minute, Babs didn't type what up?
That's okay. That'll be all, Babs. Thank you. I'm going to be taking a deposition from Peter Davidson, though, a little bit later, and you're welcome to be there for that, Dan.
Now, come. You think you can bluff me with some tripe about Peter Davidson? Look, I'm not interested. Now, look, I want every statement that has to do with this case, especially the one from Vaughn's imaginary lover.
Oh, wait a minute. I have those.
Babs, I said that'll be all.
Well, it won't be all if you're accusing me of not doing my work.
No, Babs, nobody's saying anything like that.
Oh, I think he is, Babs. I think you have every reason to be upset. Now, did you type those documents or didn't you?
Let me tell you something, Mr. Redlin. I knew who you were and what you were from the very moment you enrolled in Domi.
Yes. That makes us even, too, because I knew who you were and what you were from the beginning, too. Maybe that's why we had such a wonderful time together, all this positive energy fusing off and sending off sparks.
Don't mock that which you don't understand. Well, tell me, Mr. Redlin, what am I going to read about myself in tomorrow's Chronicle?
You really think you've got me beat, don't you?
No comment. At least not until I hear the evidence you have against me.
All right. There have been 4 suicides associated with the Bedford Institute in the past few years.
4, Mr. Redlin? Are you sure? I think you better check your records. That seems like an awfully small number for such a large facility.
Did I say suicides? Yeah, I must have made a mistake there. I meant to say murders.
Murders? How shocking.
Yeah.
Do go on.
Even more shocking is all 4 of these ladies had almost identical psychological profiles.
Of course, your story's going to need a little bit of work before you print it. If you publish that statement, every psychologist who reads it will laugh at you. A person's psyche is as individual as his fingerprints.
I'll have to fix that and rewrite, won't I?
Oh, please call me if you do. I'd be happy to be quoted as a source.
Oh, yes, I'm sure you would, Vanessa. Always looking for professional credentials, aren't you? You'll notice I refrain from calling you Dr. Fazan.
The doctor is legitimate.
Oh, really? Then why aren't you listed in the Kingsley records as a licensed therapist? You weren't in the Philadelphia records either. That's where you practiced before coming down here, isn't it?
It's where I lived before coming to Kingsley. Really, Mr. Redlin, or should I call you Mr. Foster? If you're trying to impress me, you're going to have to do much better than this.
All right. It is my contention that the 4 ladies who died were not only involved with the Bedford Institute, but they were involved with Domi, too. They were all very unhappy, unstable, and isolated. Now, those qualities are the hallmark for anyone that stays in your little organization too long, isn't that right?
Your wit is devastating, Mr. Redlin.
Yes. So is this. They were very wealthy, didn't leave any wills, and no one can figure out where their money went.
How careless of them.
Or how careful of you.
That sounds like an accusation.
Oh, it will be. Someday.
Someday isn't now. You print that or even hint at it, and you'll be sued for libel before your tacky little newspaper even hits the stand.
Oh, did I strike a little spark there, Vanessa?
Yes, you did. Up until now, everything has been foolishness, a reflection of your naivete. But you crossed the line with that remark. You're desperate to make a connection, and you'll speculate about anything.
Are you afraid of something?
Afraid? What makes you think that I'm afraid?
The Domi-Bedford connection?
There is none.
Oh, but there is. Brian Graham.
Graham is on the staff of the Bedford Institute, and he's also an acquaintance of mine. Is that what you mean by a connection?
That and the fact that you share a patient list.
Not true, but go on.
Are you denying that Barbara Gilbert was not both your patient and his?
Anyone involved in Domi is not a patient.
Oh, Vanessa, are we going to argue semantics now?
No, we're going to argue facts, something you've been consistently short of. Number one, Domi is not therapy. The people involved in Domi are practitioners.
Forgive the oversight, Vanessa.
And number two, Barbara Gilbert enrolled in Domi without Brian Graham's help, and she chose Brian Graham as her doctor without my help. If you're trying to intimidate me, you're hardly going to do it with that information. Nothing illegal was done, even if one of us had recommended her.
It's what you did with the patients after you got them is what I'm talking about, lady.
Let me warn you, Mr. Redlin, you're going a little bit too far.
Listen, lady, I am through with your warnings. I know everything that you've done. I know that you are responsible for 4 deaths. You're systematically robbing these rich old ladies out of everything that they have, and you're leading thousands of others into some sadistic psychological maze.
And they say America isn't the land of opportunity.
Yes, you're my personal campaign, lady, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm not going to give up until I bring you down.
Perhaps if you'd paid more attention during our sessions, you would have acquired the skills to do it.
Your smugness and self-assurance is only going to help me.
Thanks for the warning. Let me give you a warning. Domi is real. The power that it taps into is real. Don't underestimate it.
Was that a warning or was that a threat?
I'll let you make that decision.
Good. Because I think it falls under the category of fertilizer.
I am overjoyed to hear you ignore my warning. I love to have the last laugh.
You haven't had the last laugh yet, lady.
Of course not. But knowing what you're trying to do and knowing what I haven't done makes that laugh inevitable.
Will you do me a favor? Don't underestimate me either.
Don't you ever knock.
Anger is the diffusion of the positive. Remember, Vanessa? It's all right, Dr. Graham. I was on my way out. I'm sorry I can't leave you with any profound words.
Yes, I'm sure you are. But then every time you try to say something smart, you're speechless.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'll have to do. See you in court?
Mr. Redlin, would you do me a favor? Would you please stop by the circulation department of your newspaper and put me on the subscribers list? I don't want to miss your article when it comes out. Really good fiction is so hard to find these days.
Most interesting things happen in this office.
Close the door. We're in trouble.
Dave Phillips, I hardly think the people of Chesterfield are going to compare you to that Lee Carruthers, no matter how the project turns out.
Well, maybe.
But your reputation is what Preston Carpenter's banking on. What he's hoping will get these people to give up their homes. A word from you of an improved community and a promise of a job, right?
Well, basically, yes, but it's a promise I'll make Preston Carpenter put into writing.
That's interesting.
Of course, that can pose a problem, too. I mean, what if he gives these people a job for, let's say, a month, and then decides that they're not working up to his standards? He could fire them all. And that's not an unprecedented tactic.
Yeah, especially if they're fighting for this affirmative action. You know, that's the same thing they did in the 60s at Kingsley Electric. Remember, Mama?
Yes, it happened to my cousin Bonnie, but she got her job back. Matter of fact, they all did.
Well, I hate to sound like the voice of doom here, but a fight like that'll take years. And in the meantime, Dave will come up smelling like a complete louse, because they'll think he was in on it from the start.
You know, I never thought I'd hear myself defending the carpenter, but this could be a sincere proposal. I mean, the man owns the land that the apartments are standing on. He can do whatever he wants with it. And it's, he doesn't have to worry about discrimination once the company gets going. I mean, it's almost a sure thing that the workers will be racially mixed. I think it's possible that he's genuinely concerned about making so many people homeless. After all, he's going to a lot of trouble about it.
Yeah.
You're saying it's too elaborate to be a smokescreen?
Something like that.
Well, the more there is to hide, the more elaborate the smokescreen has to be.
Oh, enough of that. But tell me, Dave, what are your feelings about the matter?
But the people of Chesterfield don't have anything to lose, and it's a gamble well worth taking. And the Preston Carpenter is trying to pull a fast one, and he's being very careless about it. Because I could turn all his broken promises into some very bad publicity, and he knows I would do it, too.
In other words, yes.
Yes, I think the man deserves a chance, and these people need something.
Come on, friends, it's a very simple question. Either you typed the documents or you didn't. Now, if you did, I'd like to see them, please.
Yeah, come to think of it, you did, Babs. It's my mistake. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, maybe that was a different document that I'm thinking
No,
of.
Babs, you did exactly right. It's just that the particular statement that Mr. Myers is interested in is one that I didn't give to you. That's all. I remember now.
Oh. Well, are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure, Babs. It's okay. Thank you.
You have a very interesting memory, Harold.
Dan, you got me. Look, the reason that I didn't give that statement to Babs to type up is because I haven't even been able to bring myself to write it up yet. It's pitiful. I visited the woman, and her story is, well, let's just say it's weak.
Weak as in non-existent, or weak as in what went on between her and Vaughn is more wishful thinking on his part than anything else?
It's just weak. Look, Dan, if I can talk Vaughn into offering a nice settlement, do you think you could convince Courtney to drop this action? It'd be very generous, I assure you that, with a nice little piece of change in there for you.
I really do have you in a corner there, don't I?
Just name a figure, will you? I'll get Vaughn on the phone.
This is even better than I thought.
Look, I think I can convince Vaughn of this. He's, I'm sure, ready to acknowledge that things are getting hopeless.
$12 million.
Come on, be reasonable,
I
Dan.
think that's very reasonable, Harold.
Look, I had something in mind like around 300,000, maybe even 5.
500,000 from the Sumner fortune? Are you Look, I would never pass up the opportunity to humiliate you and Vaughn Sumner in court for that little amount.
It's a favor to me. I'll owe you big. At least call Courtney on the phone and tell her about the offer. You can do that.
No way.
I'll call her.
You do, and I'll have you charged with harassment.
Oh, come on, Dan, please.
No. That's the end of it, Harold. That's the end of you, too. Well, if you'll excuse me, I really don't think there's anything more to say right now.
Harold, what is going on?
He fell for it.
You fell for what?
You were terrific. You were great.
Well, what did I do?
He had every right to see those statements, and I didn't actually tell him that he couldn't.
What is happening?
Tina Brubaker. I didn't want him to know that she was our principal witness. I just played on his vanity. Made him think that my case was so bad that he didn't even have to see those statements. He is so ready to believe that he is so much better than everybody else that he fell into a trap with "trap" written on it. Let's just hope he stays in there until the hearing begins.
We, Vanessa? You're a solo act, remember? Any trouble that you get into is yours, not mine. A reporter, huh? You're slipping allowing someone to get that close to you.
Don't be a fool. I've known what he's been up to for weeks.
Then what are you so upset about? I assume you didn't let him see anything that he shouldn't have.
He left here with nothing but speculation.
Then I repeat, why are you so upset?
It was very good speculation.
Vanessa, I think you better get out of town.
Don't be ridiculous. I can handle it.
That's not the impression that you've been giving me.
Then you've misunderstood.
You are the woman that just said she was in trouble, aren't you?
I misspoke.
I don't think so.
Your thoughts are not worth taking into consideration on any subject.
And yours are only motivated by greed. That is not the emotion that should be guiding you right now. Vanessa, leave Kingsley.
I can't. There's still too much to be done.
With you, that is always the case.
Brian, I have my next client already primed. I'm just about to make more money than I've ever made before.
Vanessa.
Stop it, Brian. You're protected.
How?
Trust me.
That's funny.
If I tell you, you're going to know more than you'll be comfortable with.
I already know more than I'm comfortable with.
Well, if you insist. In my files, I have listed
Stop.
the names of...
You're right, I don't want to know.
A wise decision.
At least I'm capable of making one.
Brian, my plan is not as foolish as you think it is.
I doubt it.
Gene Redlin may be making good speculation, but that's all it is. Speculation. He can't prove anything. And in the unlikely event that he does, I'll be long gone. As soon as I'm finished with Beverly Randolph, I am finished with Kingsley.
And me.
And you, darling. My one regret.
My one relief.
I got some nice hot blueberry pie for dessert.
No, Mom, that's okay. I just had time to get Carla and,
Oh, look, we could, Gene. I mean, the
Carla,
babysitter...
please, no.
All right, sweetheart. Maybe some other time, okay? Bye. Goodbye, baby.
Thanks, Mom. I'll see you. See you later.
You just stop right there. You know, you were very rude.
Listen, would you please hold your voice down?
Why? What's wrong?
Ben Martin blew the whistle on my Domi investigation.
What?
Boy, do you mind driving? I don't feel so hot.
Oh, wait a minute. I mean, come on. Tell me, why did he do it?
Friday on Another Life, Nancy does some investigating of her own.
You know how I really don't like to pry. I mean, I feel that people's business is really their own. But I've got to know, what on earth is going on between you and Jean?
And Peter and Stacy learn of the hospital board's decision.
I'm sorry, Mom. I know how much that meant to you.
It's just water to the bridge now.
Maybe not